Welcome. The history of Germany is one of the most complex in the world because it is not clear where to pinpoint its beginning. After Rome's demise near the end of the 5th century, the landscape of European society began to transform. People across the continent created kingdoms, and eventually those kingdoms combined into one empire, the Holy Roman Empire. While these kingdoms, principalities, and duchies developed, they all had one thing in common: a castle to protect and let the cities flourish. The castles that reside across its landscape were crucial to the reign of the kings in each respective region, but they also can be a great source to understand how divided the empire truly was. Let's take a deeper look into them by touring the Castle Path for German history or Die Schlossweg für deutsche Geschichte and go back in time to talk to important people and how religion changed throughout the empire. You will join me, Trevor, and a little bit later, Dylan, on this journey. Now, this path includes four castles that help define the course of religion in this region. They include the Palace of Aachen, Nuremberg Castle, Wernigerode Castle, and Heidelberg Castle. Each castle we will visit displayed a different time in the empire, which will make you understand how the empire evolved over these centuries. On our journey throughout Germany, we will also meet various ancestors who say a defining point about the religious situation in the empire. Before Germany became one unified nation, the Holy Roman Empire was the ruling force in Germany, in Central Europe. There's no better place to start than the castle erected by the first emperor Charlemagne, the Palace of Aachen. Who's that over there? Let's find out.
Hello, my name is Otto of Metz. I designed this beauty for the great king crowned by the Pope in the late 8th century. You see, the Palace of Aachen is more than just a simple building. In fact, it is a large group of buildings that establish the power of his kingdom and those of his sons to come. Even though this castle is named the Palace of Aachen, we actually built it north of Aachen, which you know as the German federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia. I am the first architect in these lands, and I am most proud the Emperor gave me the right to design his home. Most of the palace was built in the 790s, but the work went on until Charlemagne and myself perished in 1814 or 814.
How are you talking then? The building I'm looking at is complete. Yeah, you said you perished before its completion.
I'm not quite sure how that works, but my spirit must be kept inside this relic of the past. Anyways, Charlemagne wanted me and my crew to complete our work by the time he finished converting the pagans to the east, but I was not able to do so. The parts we did complete before his return, though, will probably last until your time. We have put much time and effort into the council hall and the Palatine Chapel, which are my greatest achievements. In the council hall, Charlemagne delivered eloquent speeches each year to keep the people informed. This was a huge occasion where I got to see many friends such as the counts, bishops, and nobles from my hometown of Metz. We would drink and laugh into the night, knowing our lands were protected and governed by the best ruler in the world. Then the Palatine Chapel was positioned on the south side of the palace. Here I made special instructions to make the height and length according to biblical texts. This chapel became the symbol of Charlemagne's religious power, not to mention being crowned the emperor by the Pope. I remember the day Pope Leo III consecrated the palace in 805. It was a sight I will never forget. When the Pope and Emperor came together, it made the religion mandatory in every state in the empire. Their combined power spread Christianity throughout Europe, making it the sole religion in my time. Sadly, my mind has gone blurry on other buildings of the original construction, but Charlemagne loved to reside here. I heard he and his family took up residence in the northeast part of the palace, but he kept the personal aspects of his life to himself. Sorry, my friend, I lost track of time. Mass is about to start, so I must leave you here.
Wow, he was quite a character. Next, we're going to travel southeast and a bit further in time to the 15th century, to Bavaria, and stop at the magnificent Nuremberg Castle. A long time ago, traders would travel down this road and stop in Nuremberg before heading outside the empire's reach. I wonder if we'll find another spirit residing amongst the beauty that is Nuremberg Castle.
Who goes there? Oh, a peasant with odd clothes. Nevertheless, welcome to Nuremberg. Our great castle stands in the center of the city and the federal state now known as Bavaria. Nuremberg Castle was first mentioned in a royal document in 1050 AD. Nuremberg Castle is known to be one of the most formidable fortresses in Europe. The castle represented the strength and power of the Holy Roman Empire. In the late 10th century, Nuremberg Castle was located near important highways and trade routes, which you just traveled upon yourself. This caused the castle to become an important stopping place for rulers traveling through to other realms. Consequently, Nuremberg turned into a trading empire. In the year 1219, Emperor Frederick signed legislation that renovated the castle, which led to the castle to become its own freestanding imperial city. Moving forward to the 14th century, Nuremberg advanced into one of the most distinguished and best located cities in the realm. In fact, it was such a prestigious location that emperors from all over would visit. Holy Roman Emperor Ludwig IV, or the Bavarian, dined at the table 74 times, while his successor, Emperor Charles IV, stayed 52 times. From the late 15th century until the 19th century, the castle finally lost its importance due to the spread of epidemics such as the plague, and the city's acceptance of the Reformation in 1524. Martin Luther was very bold fortifying the church, and our city stood alone in this region for some time. Most people in the surrounding areas despised him, and it has caused the hardships on the traders entering the castle. This caused the now Protestant city to be separate from the Catholic ones. Major drop-offs in populations riddled the city. This collapse lasted until the breakdown of the Holy Roman Empire in 1806. After the breakdown of the once powerful Holy Roman Empire, Nuremberg became integrated into the Kingdom of Bavaria. My daughter is very ill. I should go check on her. I'll leave you now with the important piece of advice. Religion will be the death of us all. I hope a decision is made upon the matter soon.
I hope his daughter survived, but history isn't always kind. Since we are already on the path of traders, let's continue along it until we reach our next castle. You will be traveling north from Nuremberg to Saxony-Anhalt, where you will find Wernigerode Castle. Dylan will continue on this journey with you and take you a little over 200 years into the future from our last castle. I think I'll spend some time here in Bavaria and take in the culture it has to provide.
Hey everyone, Trevor already told you where we were going, so I'll tell you a bit about it on the way. Wernigerode Castle has become more beautiful over the years. It looks like we are around the mid-17th century based on the aesthetic of the castle, though its chaotic history comes changes to its architecture. Since its construction, many pieces of it were upgraded during different periods. These updates blended different architecture types, and it is quite a sight to behold. Here we are. Let's see what else this gentleman can tell us.
Don't scare the deer. Ah, there it goes. Well, since you already cost me my dinner, I guess I'll tell you about this fine castle we are in front of. Wernigerode Castle, or Schloss Wernigerode, is the castle that protects our home, Saxony-Anhalt. It was originally built for the emperors of the Holy Roman Empire as a secure stopping trip during their hunting trips to the Harz highlands just a few kilometers away. The first major renovation took place in the 15th century by converting it into the Gothic style and significantly enlarging the structure. During the 16th century, the fortress was renovated again into a Renaissance fortress equipped with early cannons and walls capable of withstanding the new siege weapon, artillery. This renovation can be easily recognized by the Renaissance staircase tower over there. These renovations would be tested as the castle was damaged during the 30 Years' War. I remember that war quite vividly. My father fought and died in it. I could not believe each state's religion was now based on its ruler. How ridiculous. The empire, or the emperor, has always been crowned by the pope. How does it make sense heretics could still thrive in this year or in this empire? Anyways, the castle would be renovated again as a Baroque fortress. Then, for one of its final renovations, it would be rebuilt in the Romantic style with a round fortress, which you can still see here in your time, by Ernst zu Stolberg Wernigerode. It's right up there. The Church of St. Pantaleon and Anna also existed in Wernigerode Fortress beginning in 1259, with a parish being formed by Graf Christian Ernst in 1716. The last Baroque-style renovation of the church took place in 1817 and would subsequently be demolished in 1870, with a new church to take its place 20 years later. These religious questions have tortured my life and many others. I hope that in your time this problem does not exist and you can live in peace. Now, where'd that deer go?
How interesting. That man seemed to have a pretty good memory for the length of this land. The final castle to end our expedition takes us back to the west side of modern Germany. We will also be traveling back to the 16th century and the time of Luther. Here lays a hilly, rural landscape filled with luscious green trees. Amongst these trees lays what's left of Heidelberg Castle. In the 15th century, this castle would house the Palatine counts, and later, in the 16th century, Martin Luther, the father of the Protestant Reformation. You, good sir, over there, can you remind us about this castle?
Sorry, what did you say? I'm on lookout duty in case any Imperial troops happen to come by. Wait, you're not Imperial troops, right? Okay, good. I have been in deep trouble. I could have been in deep trouble. I've been bored out of my mind, so I'd love to divulge the destructive past of this castle with you. First, let us admire the greenery that surrounds us and this beast of a construction mastery. This castle was built in 1214 in the Rhine Valley, east of the Rhine River and north of the Alps. It has been resided by those such as Frederick V, who was actually the key person behind the creation of this castle. As you already know from my post, it also saw well-known Martin Luther, the founder of Lutheranism. Wolfgang, Louis V of France's younger brother, showed Luther the grounds, and he penned a letter afterwards explaining the beauty and defenses of this castle. I bet Louis is hoping to keep this religious unrest going, so he has a reason to expand further into the West Holy Roman Empire. Anyways, a few days from now, Luther will hold the Heidelberg Disputations, which happened to prove pivotal in his Reformation to gain the traction it needed. He will argue mightily, and he wrote 28 new theses for his debate. He will say, "The love of God does not find but creates that which is pleasing to it. The love of man comes into being through which is pleasing to it." Basically, he defined his movement by declaring a core idea of his movement. People can communicate with Christ. All we need is faith. Luther sure has a way with words, doesn't he? Over the years, this castle will wither away with brushes of battles and nature. The 30-Year War brought about an attack in the 1620s, the Battle of White Mountain. Eventually, it was reclaimed by Charles Louis in October of 1649, who would later become the rightful king of Palatine. In addition, this beast of a structure was called upon from the heavens not once, but twice. It was struck by nature's mighty lightning, and the upper part of the Heidelberg was set ablaze in 1294, and again later in 1764. I bet by your time, young traveler, there will be nothing left of this magnificent building of Renaissance history. The sun is nearly up. I should check the perimeter to make sure no one is trying to sneak in before dawn finishes.
What a sad our journey across its medieval edifices. Trevor took us to the Palace of Aachen.
I think you muted Dylan.
What a sad way to end our journey across Germany and its medieval edifices. Trevor took us to the Palace of Aachen, where we met Otto of Metz, the castle's designer. From there, he brought us to the southeast state of Bavaria, where we explored Nuremberg Castle. There, a concerned father explained his fear for the future of the German lands with relation to the rise of religious hostilities. From there, I became your guide and showed you the path north to Wernigerode Castle. The thrill of the hunt encompassed us there as a hunter ranted about his misgivings towards the resolution of the religious question in the empire. Finally, we just came from the ruins of the Heidelberg Castle in the Western Germany. There, we were able to gather crucial information about Martin Luther and how he furthered his quest for religious freedom under the protection of Heidelberg's walls. Each castle offered a closer look into the religious situation of the Holy Roman Empire, as well as their own significance in that region. We hope you enjoyed your time on the Castle Path for German History.